talk today a little bit about some of my experiences in the cult that I was recruited to in the 90s and some helpful tips for anybody who has been in a cult, high control group. This one's more Christian oriented, from the Christian cult, but there are cults like with different, they're not always Christian, yoga cults, whatever. I feel though this is more Christian faith-based tips that they can be pretty universal and translate over to any other type of control trauma. And the first one is music. And I say that because when before I was recruited by the cult, Xenos Dwell, when I was a teenager in high school, I was Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I did all the catechism, all that stuff. And I believed in God, the God of the Bible. I still do, but this is universal, like I say, and I'm not like someone who evangelizes people. So this is about self-care, trauma, and ways I have found that have been helping me. And music is important. As I said, when I was, sorry, I'm nervous. But yeah, so I found that this cult that I was in, they did not like worship music. It's a cult of personality, and the personality is Dennis McCallum, and something is up his butt about praise and worship music where he thinks he's better than this other church called Vineyard, so he just never likes to have that. So I found that Christian music, worship music, especially like choir music, does not remind me of my experience there. And because I never heard music there, like worship music there. If I did, it was that terrible Christian music, or they just were too cool for that and they had some kind of grunge band that, it was a weird cult. Like I would say they're like Mennonites, but with artisanal beard tattoos, chain smoking, and yeah, it's like that. Like they just like this cool church. They're so cool, and they're not. They're horrible. They're very mean. They're very mean to their members, and they're mean to servers, and they're horrible for their horrible neighbors. Just go look on Reddit. They're just self-focused on only growing. They don't care about keeping people, just bringing more. It's like a game or something. They can never collect enough prizes. But they certainly don't care if they come back or stay. It's just sad for people like me and many others that associate God with rejection now, or things that God is not like Xenos. He's not. God is bigger than Xenos. And I know that the McCallum family thinks there's some kind of gift to Christianity. And they sell all these books. And God does not need them. Yeah, they're going to be surprised to find out someday. But, so I'm going to go on with the music thing. It's really important. And, because for 20 years that I was out, when I did leave, I was told I never accepted Christ by my best friend that had recruited me. And, there's something about Xenos that you cannot take God out the door when you leave. There's just, you can try all kinds of types of ways, but they're like, nope, it's you, it ain't us, it ain't this church, it ain't this thing, it ain't your depression, it ain't, I threw depression out there just because some people have mental illnesses and stuff, and, they don't get the help they need, they get, not the help they need. and they get the make, you know, everything's a spiritual problem, and it can't be Xenos, so it's got to be you. And you know, churches shouldn't be worried. And churches aren't, because this ain't a church, it's a cult. And here's the difference: if someone leaves a church, they'll be concerned, and you can always be welcomed back, usually, unless you, I mean, you know, I most churches want people to come back, and they care if they leave, and they don't want them to leave. And most churches use excommunication as a very last resort, and rarely, but they're, like I said, it's a cult of personality, and Dennis loves to be able to pick who can and cannot come to his groups, and which ones, and when, and where, and how many times a week, and all that. And if he don't have it his way, and his family and his minions under him, it's not going to work out there. You're going to be toxic waste, or you're going to be divisive, or you're going to be some other thing, you know. And good churches don't do all that. That's weird, right? It's just weird, you know. But they want to act like they're a church and use good church names to ride by and go, well, we're a good church, when they're really a cult. And go watch out for some of these churches that seem like a nice Christian church is just a stranger to God using his name to hurt people or benefit. And they benefit the family. It's like a family business, but they also have a kingdom there, a celebrity that they indulge and enjoy. And a voyeurism, a very creepy obsession with members, married leaders. They know all of their bedroom information and update and ask for updates. So people don't have sexual privacy. So we leave there, kind of like when you watch the show Breaking Amish. We're a mess. These young folks, like I was a mess when I left, you know, and did like a lot of crazy stuff, like they did in the Mennonites and the Amish when they went to New York or whatever. A lot of us go through that when we leave. And you know, and for 20 years I thought that I was apostate. I believed I wasn't. I'm like, I was a fake. I never accepted Christ. You know, I don't know why. You know, I would believe something so dumb like that. When Galatians, the first, you know, my Bible knowledge has gone away, but I know first Galatians 1 says, you know, that not to let these people, oh, I wish I could remember it. Galatians 1 is good if you were in a cult, in a Christian cult, a Christian-based themed cult. But what I will say is, I'm gonna probably start this over and do it again, because I really want to go into the what they told me as a young girl, when they did recruit me, was that my dad didn't go to heaven either. My dad had died when I was 10, and I was probably about 15 when they told me that my dad wasn't in heaven. And then at first I argued and she just had all this biblical backup for why, an adult, by the way, who's still probably youth group leader there, but still in there. And she just made it very clear to me, and that my dad, I would never see him again, because he never came to hear the gospel. Like, they fucking know, right? How the fuck do they know what he heard in his life? But anyway, that's me at 46, thinking, I wish I said that. I probably did say that. I was sharp as a whip. Sharp as a whip. Which was why I was always in trouble there. But anyway, now I can listen to music from before I started that cult. I listen to old music from who I was before any of that touched me, touched my brain and my heart and my mind, confused me. So I've been listening to old music from like the 80s, early 90s, before they got to me. And that's a tip. If you've been through something similar, go backwards and listen to. Stay away from current and remember the old.